Some people object that in order for the eye to modify and still remain a useful instrument to its owner, many changes would have had to take place simultaneously. However, it is not necessary to suppose this if the modifications were extremely slight and gradual.
You may have heard of the new fad known as ecotourism. This means tourism which is environmentally friendly and conscious about conserving the environment. The key is to minimize the physical, social, and behavioral impacts of overseas travel. Tour groups will often work with local and indigenous communities to design respectful and memorable programs for visitors.
The life of a hunter-gatherer is indeed, as Thomas Hobbes said of the state of nature, solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. In some respects, to be sure, wandering through the jungle bagging monkeys may be preferable to the hard slog of subsistence agriculture.
3 professors from Hamburg University's medical faculty traveled last month to Ingeborg's sitting room in East Berlin to test her on the work she carried out in pre-war Germany.
Researchers gathered 160 uncaffeinated adults, people who consumed less than 500 milligrams of caffeine a week. These decaf subjects looked at pictures of various objects, then took either a placebo or a pill containing 200 milligrams of caffeine. That's roughly the amount you'd get from 2 cups of coffee.
Agricultural problems due to climate change of normal weather, water depletion, and the collapse of soil have become big problems in all parts of the world. Many are now focusing on ethics and family farming as a way to combat these issues.
Written examinations are a fact of life for most high school and university students. However, Recent studies have shown that this traditional form of assessment may not be an accurate indicator of academic performance. Tests have shown that many students experience anxiety during exam weeks, which leads to poor results. As a result, some learning institutions are replacing exams with alternative assessments such as group work and oral presentations.
History rubs shoulders and often overlaps with many other areas of research, from myths and epics to the social sciences, including economics, politics, biograph, demography, and much else besides. Some histories are almost pure narratives, while others go in for detailed, tightly focused analyses of, for example, the parish records of a Cornish village in the 16th century.
According to a peer-reviewed study, medical cannabis led to a statistically significant improvement in quality of life, employment status, and in the reduction of the number of medications in those with Tourette syndrome, in addition to improving comorbidities.
Using more than 50 interviews, award-winning writer Danny Danziger creates a fascinating mosaic of the people behind New York's magnificent Metropolitan Museum of Art, from the aristocratic, acerbic director of the museum, Philippe de Montbello, to the curators who have a deep knowledge and passionate appreciation of their collections, from the security guards to the philanthropists who keep the museum's financial lifeblood flowing.
Usually, age is determined by physical characteristics, such as teeth or bones. Great, if you have a body. Researchers have tried unsuccessfully to use blood. But in this study, the scientists used immune cells called T cells. T cells recognize invaders through receptors that match molecules on bacteria, viruses, even tumors. The cellular activity that produces these receptors also produces a type of circular DNA molecule as a byproduct.
Not a lot is known about how the transportation of goods by water first began. Large cargo boats were being used in some parts of the world up to 5,000 years ago. However, sea trade became more widespread when large sailing boats traveled between ports, carrying spices, perfumes and objects made by hand.
As to the Industrial Revolution, one cannot dispute today the fact that it has succeeded in inaugurating in a number of countries a level of mass prosperity which was undreamt of in the days preceding the Industrial Revolution. But, on the immediate impact of Industrial Revolution, there were substantial divergences among writers.
Such cross-protection is usually seen between two animals. But Gore studies the same sort of mutualism in microbes. He and his team demonstrated the first experimental example of that cross-protective relationship in drug-resistant microbes, using two strains of antibiotic-resistant E. coli bacteria, one resistant to ampicillin, the other to chloramphenicol. Howard believed that all clouds belonged to three distinct groups: cumulus, stratus, and cirrus. He added a fourth category, nimbus, to describe a cloud in the act of condensation into rain, hail, or snow. It is by observing how clouds change color and shape that weather can be predicted, and as long as the first three of cloud keep their normal shape, there won't be any rain.
History is selective. What history books tell us about the past is not everything that happened, but what historians have selected. They cannot put in everything, choices have to be made. Choices must similarly be made about which aspects of the past should be formally taught to the next generation in the shape of school history lessons.
The brain is divided into two hemispheres, called the left and right hemispheres. Each hemisphere provided a different set of functions, behaviors, and controls. The right hemisphere is often called the creative side of the brain, while the left hemisphere is the logical or analytic side of brain. The right hemisphere controlled the left parts of the body, and the left hemisphere controlled the right side.
Within this free course, you will be introduced briefly to the discipline of child psychology and to theories and approaches that have been developed to help us understand and support children's lives by focusing on the individual children. Psychologists can assess changes in their child's abilities over time, including their physical, cognitive, social, and emotional development.
We can see from the X-rays that at an early stage of painting, a window was painted at the left of the portrait. It seems that there may have been 2 windows in the initial design for the portrait, or that the window was moved at an early stage.
Nature offers no greater splendor than the starry sky on a clear, dark night. Silent and jeweled with the constellations of ancient myth and legend, the night sky has inspired wonder throughout the ages, a wonder that leads our imaginations far from the confines of Earth and the pace of the present day, and out into the distant reaches of space and cosmic time itself.